Hello, everybody. This is episode 53 of our podcast, Artificial Intelligence and Cybersurgery, the official podcast for our journal, Artificial Intelligence Surgery. My name is Andrew Gumbs. I'm here with Vincent Grasso, my co-host, who will introduce our next guest.
Great. This is episode 53, Andrew. It's ramping up nicely already this year. We have a very exciting guest on, Dr. Federico Gheza. He's a surgeon, Italian surgeon. He's getting his PhD in Brescia with the focus in AI. He's going to obviously tell us what he's working on and tell the audience how you met Andrew and some background for our viewers. Welcome to the podcast, Federico.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for having me on this podcast. I see some previous recording of yours and looks like I'm probably the youngest or probably yes. And for sure, I see many exciting guys there and girls there. So let's start from the end. So let's start from the PhD, because the title of my PhD in artificial intelligence in surgery is quite specific, and we can decide if we want to go through this or through something else. And the title is about using AI to start from a surgical video, digest the video, and get some clip highlights that can be useful for a coach, because we are talking about surgical coaching. So the way we are doing surgical coaching today is pretty much you ask the surgeon that is your coachee to bring a clip, and as a coach, you work with the surgeon, with the coachee, through the clip that he wants to show you. But what we are trying to ask to AI is to just find the best clip for the coach to work with the surgeon. And this is totally different. It's even changing the way we are coaching, because, for example, I can ask the surgeon to have a session just working on, for example, exposure. And so you ask AI to detect all the clip where exposure was suboptimal and just give me a short highlights on how this guy is exposing. And then I can work with the guy, try to get, so even not just asking AI to support us, but based on the tool we have, changing the way we are coaching. So that's just starting from, that's a super specific way, and we are of going through all the tools we already have in literature to digest a video, adding some new question, more than new answer and tools. So the reason I met Andrew is
Federico, before you talk about that, it just are you involved with the white paper and surgical training and AI that we're working on? Did we forget to insert you into that, or did we contact you, or did we forget that?
So last time we met in Bari and we had this discussion and we decided to have this podcast. Sorry, you were, I mean, so overwhelmed about all the people there, all the things there, that you actually say to me that I should be involved, and then you totally forget, and that's fine. I mean,
no. It's not too late. It's not too late. We're collecting the data. We're writing the segments, and I'm thinking I probably need you to just write 2 pages on what you do. So you're going to be involved. Don't worry. We're drafting it now.
So but, I will ask GPT-4 to ask to write a couple of pages and send
wrong.
it
So, wrong answer. Wrong answer. Don't do that.
I know. So no, I'm not used to do that. So I will not start now. So yeah, that could be super cool, because my point of view is let's say the preceptor and the trainer point of view. But I need more insight from the clinical point of view, because sometimes I miss a little bit the effect of coaching. So I cannot follow the coachee through the entire journey in the clinical, because as a preceptor, I'm with them for the very first cases, and then I don't know anything about the rest. So I need to reconnect this. And this could be another topic for AI to help with, because I can just automatically record something of the journey of the surgeon and just come back easily later, because of course I cannot see hours and hours of recording, but probably some selected highlights should be nice to see my style of coaching, the impact, the way I can do better. And yeah, so that could be a point. So I was saying the way we met is before this this Congress and other things, is because what I realized just giggling in LinkedIn and even through papers is that actually the world of guys working on AI in surgery is very, very small. So probably there are no more than 20 people really working in that direction through different ways, but just looking at how to use AI in surgery is a very small world. And I crossed probably Andrew from 3 or 4 different points. We crossed for sure in a couple of conferences talking in the same session, and then common friends talking about each other. Like at some point of the conversation, there is that question like, do you know Andrew Gams? Yeah, of course. So that was always the way to return to you. And at some point we decided that probably it was time to speak, and we are here. That was the way.
You're on mute, Andrew.
Yeah,
Cool.
sorry about that, guys. So, so Federico, let's go a little bit further back. You did your medical school and your residency where? We know you're doing your PhD in Brescia, but tell us a little bit more about where you're from and your medical school and your residency.
Yep. So it's a long round story. So I start from Brescia, medical degree in Brescia, pretty straightforward path, just looking at being a doctor and being a surgeon. And then I enroll in the residency program in Brescia. But then since the probably second year as a resident, I start traveling around. I went to Strasbourg first, IRCAD and the transplant service that now is of Prof. Philippe Bachelier, but before was Professor Wolf at that point. And then I cross other people like Fabrizio Panaro and other guys, and they linked me to UIC Chicago. At some point, I went to Chicago for during the residency program for transplant, and I was introduced to Professor Benedetti, and he asked me, I have 2 positions. One is in transplant, and the other is in robotic surgery with Professor Giulianotti. Which one do you prefer? That was 2011. I was even not aware what was robotic surgery. And I say, looks nice, let's go for robotic surgery. So Fabrizio Panaro was absolutely against this decision because he said, I sent you there to solve an issue to Benedetti, and now you're saying you're not going to do this. And they say, yeah, but the opportunity is so big. And then that opened me a world. So I traveled back to Brescia at the end of residency.
Federico,
just to start.
was
Yeah.
Luca Milone and Despina
Yes.
Daskalaki, were they both there?
So I crossed Luca for 3 months. He was doing the clinical fellowship when I started. And she was there she finished before I went the second time. So I was there the very first time, crossing Pietro Addeo and Nicola Bux. They were the very first fellow with Giulianotti. And then Pietro is back to Strasbourg now. And then she was doing a fellowship like 1 year before I came back, because I went back to Chicago for 3 years, 2015. I got the USMLE, and at the end, as soon as I got the USMLE, I decided to come back to Italy. That's quite weird, but I got the USMLE like, yeah, I need it. And instead of starting the clinical fellowship, I decided to come back to Italy for many various reasons. Then I had a fellowship in Korea, Daegu, with Professor Che. Aka was named Professor Choi, but the Korean name is Che. Sugyeon Che, for colorectal robotic surgery. And then was another beautiful experience. And then in the meantime, I became a surgical coach in the Academy of Chicago. There is only one academy for surgical coaching in the world that is in Chicago. I got a title as a facilitator in the Lego Serious Play method, Lego like Lego bricks, and couple of other side things like maieutic facilitation, instructional design degree, and then other stuff like digital transformation at the MIT, like a 1-year fellowship program. So things like that. And then at the very end, I realized that if you connect all these dots, that was not just about surgery, it was about something like different, bigger or whatever. And so I decided to get my own company, putting together this expertise, not just the surgical expertise, and just live in the hospital, because that was the point. So I love surgery. I love being a surgeon. I don't like to live inside the hospital because, like you can see from the background and everything, I love to stay outside, to stay in the mountain, to stay in the trees. So that was my point. And they say, as a consultant and with my own company, I can still be in the surgical field and educational field, but not just living inside the hospital. That was the main drive for my point in just living.
I can see why you didn't pursue surgical training in the United States then. That is very clear to me now. Are you originally from Brescia?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Around Brescia, there is a valley going to Switzerland, very close to the border with Switzerland. That's my hometown.
And you have to explain that ring on your hand. It's very prominent. I want to know what it means. What is it?
What? This ring?
The ring on your hand. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this ring is, first of all, is a wood ring. It's not metal, it's wood. And actually is a wood from here, from my region, from Val Camonica. And on the top, inside, you cannot really see very well, but you have mountains and the colors of my company, Surgery Square. That is, it is green and white.
So this is a perfect transition. Tell us even more about your company, so we can know even more about it. I mean, we have the general idea, but I want to hear more about it.
Yeah. So probably 2 years ago, probably 3 at this point, 3 years ago, I started studying a discipline that is very, very interesting, that is called andragogy. That is like training adults instead of just doing training like we are doing for children. That pedagogy, okay? There is the andragogy, that is how you train people when they are adult and they can understand, they are motivated, and blah, blah, blah. And so learning this new thing, I realized the way we were training was not adequate for surgeons, that sometimes they are behaving like adults and not children. Not always, but usually. So I decided so I was more looking for someone working with me and hiring me to do this kind of advanced learning in surgery. And that was my point at the beginning. Then I realized that was super difficult, because I started working with a consultant for many companies like Virtamed in Zurich, doing virtual reality simulation, or Accurate in Italy, or other companies. But as a consultant, you cannot just dictate the line. You cannot impact on the direction of the company. You can just be reactive and provide a service, but you cannot tell to the company, I really want to develop this. I think we have to go in this direction. So at some point, I decide to start my own company as a consequence of the fact that was impossible to do in another way, because I don't really like to manage that part. If I have someone be the CEO of Surgery Square and me just being the CTO or the CMO, I would prefer 100% sure. But it's just that in this moment, there's no another way. And so we start providing services for advanced training. And our stakeholders were the healthcare companies, and they are still at this, because we tried to go to hospitals, we tried to go to universities, and we had some different issues with these entities, at least in Europe. With university, for example, and that's super clear to understand, training and teaching is their own core business. So they cannot ask you as an external provider to, like, I remember this conversation with a guy that was saying, is arrogant from your point of view, training us, teaching us how to train people or how to teach. This is arrogant. They say, no, I'm just saying, I'm going to support you with new tools that we have, just making new training better, or just, I'm not saying, even about the content, I'm not saying anything about the content. I'm just talking about training tools. But that was not clear.
I'm always wary about a surgeon calling someone else arrogant. That's already like I'm like, okay.
There is a bias that is just what is the level you put and what are you talking about. That's And when you say to others, probably you look at yourself, and there is a reason why. But
it's called
I didn't
projecting,
say
right?
that was a surgeon. By
Yeah.
the way, I didn't say that was a surgeon, but was actually a dean of a faculty. But still, it's okay. It's okay. I totally agree. But the point was they were not ready for this kind of conversation. And for hospitals, the same, because you know that mostly in Italy, you have this overlap in between what the universities are doing and what the hospital is training, mostly in surgery. And there is this kind of competition in between hospitals teaching and universities teaching. And this integration is on the paper, but it's not on reality. So, and in this situation was very difficult to enter, even because I tried at first with the course about soft skills and like transverse competencies. And that was a field totally unknown for them. And so coming from outside, you are young and you are talking about training people for soft skills in hospital. That was just too much. So we went to companies, to healthcare companies, and there we found a totally different, opening and totally different discussions. And we start just saying, okay, we can develop tools for you, not just a learning management system or platform. We can use AI eventually to help you. And that's happened. And we have a couple of very big clients asking us to develop competent chatbot that, knowing the content of the company, they can answer to question of the employee. And this is what we are developing in even outside surgery, in other tech company. And it works because the discussion starts in the right way. So we use technology as a Trojan horse to enter the company. And as soon as we went inside the company, we start saying, you know what, if you want, we have this expertise. We know andragogy, we know digital transformation, we know instructional design. But the Trojan horse to enter was technology. We'll say, you know what, we can integrate on LLM in your content and just being safe. And that was super, super interesting for them. Our competitors are the very, very big firm, like on the table with us, there were like Bain, Accenture, IBM. But the reason why sometimes they prefer us to them is that we are totally, so we enter in the company as a partner and we close the gap, the technological gap they have to reach the point they want. We are not just providing a service and adjusting the service for you. We are just building the service from scratch with you. And that for some of them was nice discussion, and we go that way. Yeah.
I lost you for about 30 seconds. Were you guys connected?
guy that is a pure IT guy building the structure and the backend. And we decide based on the client how many people we need in the team. For example, now for the backend, there are 7 guys working with the guy of the backend. I decide to take with me a psychologist of gamification to help me with the content.
Nice.
And a couple of really junior just to go through the content and to put some tag for the chatbot. And the guy from the front end is coding, and who knows how many developers work with him, but it's up to him. But we divide the things in 3 and we work in parallel. Otherwise, if I have to wait for the others to do stuff, so we have this way to go that is we defined every week on Tuesday, which is the blocker that is preventing others from working and which are the friction point. And beside of that, we work really in parallel, even without crossing. And that's super. We know that we have a budget, each of us, and it's super easy. If I do the job by myself, all the budget is for me. If I need someone working with me, I should divide the budget with this guy. So it is up to me. And that is super nice because you can really decide how much you want to work in terms of days and hours. Otherwise, you just go one direction or the other.
Guys, as you can tell, I am, oh boy, hold on. You lost me. You can hear
No,
me,
you're
right?
still there, but not with the
We
camera.
still hear you, no problem.
Yeah. No, what I'm trying to show any viewer we have is that I am at an airport and I think we have to stop it here. So because I also want to talk to Federico without reporting. So Vincent, I want to let you close it out so then we can talk with Federico offline, okay?
Well, thanks, Federico, for your time and talking about all the interesting things that you're working on. We'll have you back on to go into more detail about your company and your activities. So closing out episode 53 with Federico Gheza, PhD AI candidate in Brescia, and looking forward to our next podcast.
And CEO or CTO of what company?
CEO of Surge Square.
Surge Square. Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Great job.
Thank you.
We got it done, guys.